Welcome to my channel, The World Coin. Hello and welcome, coin lovers. This channel is dedicated to the fascinating world of coins from every corner of the globe. From ancient currency to modern mints, rare finds to everyday coins, we explore their history, design, and hidden stories. So subscribe now and join our growing community of coin collectors, history enthusiasts, and curious minds. I have 5 videos of 1 cent. So let's get started. The 1974 United States 1-cent coin, widely known as the 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent, is a classic example of modern American coinage that connects everyday life, national history, and the long tradition of honoring Abraham Lincoln on U.S. currency. This coin was produced during a time of economic uncertainty, rapid inflation, and significant change in metal prices, making it historically meaningful despite its very common appearance. The Lincoln Cent series began in 1909, and by 1974 it had already been circulating for over 6 decades, becoming the longest-running portrait design in United States coinage history. The 1974 penny represents continuity, stability, and the enduring symbolic power of Lincoln during a challenging decade in American history. During the early 1970s, the United States faced serious economic pressure caused by rising oil prices, inflation, and global monetary changes following the end of the Bretton Woods system. The cost of copper rose sharply, and the U.S. Mint had to consider whether the penny could continue to be made using a copper-based alloy. Even though experiments and discussions were taking place behind the scenes, the 1974 1-cent coin was still struck using the traditional bronze composition of 95% copper with 5% zinc and tin, preserving the classic weight and feel that Americans had known for generations. This makes the 1974 penny part of the last era of true copper cents before the major transition to copper-plated zinc coins in 1982. The obverse design of the 1974 Lincoln cent features the famous right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This portrait is one of the most recognizable images in the world of numismatics and American culture. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while the word, "Liberty," is positioned to the left side of the portrait. The date 1974 appears to the right. Brenner's initials VDB are subtly visible on Lincoln's shoulder, a small but historically important detail that reminds collectors of the artistic origins of this design. The portrait symbolizes honesty, unity, and sacrifice, values strongly associated with Lincoln's legacy. The reverse side of the 1974 1-cent coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, this reverse remained in use until 2008. The memorial is shown with impressive architectural detail, and inside the central opening, a tiny seated statue of Lincoln can be seen with magnification, making it one of the few U.S. coins where the same person appears on both sides. The inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and 1 cent, surround the memorial, reinforcing national identity and unity. In terms of physical specifications, the 1974 penny weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. The coin's copper content gives it a rich reddish color when freshly struck, which gradually turns brown as the metal oxidizes over time. Collectors often classify these coins by color: red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN. Bright red examples that have never circulated are the most desirable and valuable among collectors. The 1974 Lincoln cent was produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark and were produced in enormous quantities, exceeding 4 billion coins. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, produced over 3 billion coins, also intended for everyday circulation. The San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, struck special proof coins only, with a mintage of approximately 2.6 million pieces. These proof coins were sold directly to collectors and feature mirror-like fields and sharp, frosted details. Because of these extremely high mintages, most 1974 pennies found in circulation today are very common and typically worth 1 cent. However, condition plays a major role in value. Coins that remain in uncirculated condition, especially those with full red color, can be worth several dollars. Proof coins from San Francisco are also more valuable, especially when preserved in original proof sets without spotting or damage. Professionally graded examples by services such as PCGS or NGC command higher prices due to certified authenticity and condition. Collectors also search for error coins and unusual varieties among 1974 pennies. These include off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchettes, broad strikes, and die cracks or cut errors. While no famous double die variety is widely recognized for 1974, dramatic mint errors can be quite valuable, sometimes selling for tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on severity and preservation. Error coins provide excitement and uniqueness in an otherwise very common date. From a historical perspective, the 1974 1-cent coin represents the closing chapter of America's long tradition of heavy copper pennies. Only a few years later, rising production costs forced the U.S. Mint to change the cent's composition to a copper-plated zinc core. As a result, the 1974 penny holds special importance for collectors who appreciate classic copper coinage. It is a reminder of a time when even the smallest unit of U.S. currency was made primarily of a valuable natural metal. For beginner collectors, the 1974 Lincoln cent is an ideal starting point. It is affordable, widely available, and rich in history. For advanced collectors, the challenge lies in finding high-grade red examples, pristine proof coins, or genuine mint errors. Proper storage is essential. Copper coins should be kept in acid-free, non-PVC holders to prevent corrosion and discoloration. Cleaning should always be avoided, as it permanently damages the coin's surface and reduces its value. In conclusion, the 1974 United States 1-cent coin may seem simple and ordinary, yet it carries deep historical, economic, and cultural significance. It reflects the pressures of the 1970s economy, the enduring respect for Abraham Lincoln, and the final years of traditional copper penny production. Whether viewed as a piece of everyday history or a collectible artifact, the 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent remains an important and fascinating part of American numismatic heritage. Next video. The 1996 United States 1-cent coin, commonly called the 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent, represents an important stage in modern American coinage, reflecting changes in metal composition, minting technology, and everyday economic life at the end of the 20th century. By 1996, the Lincoln cent had already been in continuous production for 87 years, making it the longest-running portrait design in U.S. history. The 1996 penny belongs to the mature period of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse era, 1959-2008, and was produced in massive quantities to support daily commerce across the United States. In the mid-1990s, the U.S. economy was relatively stable compared to earlier decades, but the cost of producing coins remained a major concern for the U.S. Mint. Since 1982, pennies were no longer made of solid copper. Instead, the 1996 1-cent coin was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchette, consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin 2.5% copper coating. This change significantly reduced production costs while preserving the traditional appearance of the penny. As a result, the 1996 penny is noticeably lighter than earlier copper cents and more vulnerable to damage if the copper plating is broken. The obverse design of the 1996 Lincoln cent continues the classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln is shown facing right, symbolizing strength, dignity, and moral leadership. Above his portrait is the national motto, "In God We Trust," while "Liberty" appears to the left. The date 1996 is displayed to the right, along with the mint mark if present. Brenner's initials VDB remain visible on Lincoln's shoulder, quietly honoring the artist behind one of the most enduring coin designs in the world. The reverse side of the 1996 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This reverse design had been in use for nearly 4 decades by 1996 and had become deeply familiar to the American public. The memorial is shown in full architectural detail, with the seated statue of Lincoln visible inside the central opening, making the Lincoln cent unique in showing the same person on both sides of the coin. Surrounding the memorial are the inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and 1 cent, emphasizing national unity and the coin's denomination. In terms of physical specifications, the 1996 Lincoln cent weighs approximately 2.50 grams, lighter than the pre-1982 copper cents. It has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a plain edge, and a round shape. Because of its zinc core, the coin can develop bubbling or corrosion if exposed to moisture, especially when the copper plating is damaged. Collectors pay close attention to surface condition when evaluating modern zinc cents. The 1996 1-cent coin was produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark and were produced in very large numbers for circulation. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, also produced hundreds of millions of coins for everyday use. The San Francisco Mint issued proof versions only, marked with an S, and sold them to collectors as part of official proof sets. Proof coins feature mirror-like backgrounds and sharp, frosted design details. Because of the extremely high mintages, most 1996 pennies found in circulation today are common and generally worth face value, 1 cent. However, condition is critical in determining collector value. Uncirculated coins with full original luster can be worth more, especially in high mint state grades. Proof 1996 cents are more desirable and valuable, particularly when free from scratches, spots, or toning. Professionally graded examples certified by services such as PCGS or NGC can command premium prices. Collectors also search carefully for mint errors and varieties among 1996 Lincoln cents. Common errors include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, and plating errors, where the copper coating peels, blisters, or is missing in areas. Zinc-based cents are especially prone to such issues, making error examples more available than in earlier copper coins. While most minor errors have modest value, dramatic and well-preserved errors can be highly collectible. From a historical perspective, the 1996 1-cent coin represents a fully modernized phase of U.S. minting. Advanced machinery, improved quality control, and cost-saving materials defined this era. Unlike earlier pennies that carried significant intrinsic metal value, the 1996 cent was purely a fiduciary coin, valued for its face value rather than its metal content. This shift reflects broader economic changes in how governments manage coinage in a modern economy. For collectors, the 1996 Lincoln cent serves different purposes depending on experience level. Beginners often use it as a learning coin for understanding mint marks, condition grading, and error identification. Advanced collectors may focus on assembling high-grade registry sets, pristine proof examples, or unusual mint errors. Proper storage in non-PVC, acid-free holders is essential to protect the delicate copper plating and prevent long-term damage. In conclusion, the 1996 United States 1-cent coin may appear ordinary, but it tells a powerful story about modern American coinage, cost efficiency, and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. It reflects the realities of late 20th century economics while continuing a design tradition that began in 1909. Whether kept as a simple keepsake or studied as part of a serious collection, the 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent remains an important and meaningful piece of U.S. numismatic history. Next video. The 1986 United States 1-cent coin, widely known as the 1986 Lincoln Memorial Cent, is a representative example of late 20th century American coinage, reflecting both technological modernization and the continued symbolic importance of Abraham Lincoln on U.S. currency. By 1986, the Lincoln cent had been in uninterrupted production for 77 years, making it the longest-running portrait design in the history of United States coins. Although the 1986 penny is common in circulation, it holds historical and educational value for collectors because it belongs to the post-1982 copper-plated zinc era, a period that reshaped how the U.S. Mint produced its lowest denomination coin. During the 1980s, the United States was focused on controlling inflation and reducing government production costs. Rising metal prices had already forced the U.S. Mint to abandon solid copper cents in 1982, switching to a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition. The 1986 1-cent coin continued this standard, consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin 2.5% copper coating. This change reduced weight and cost while preserving the traditional appearance of the penny. As a result, the 1986 cent weighs approximately 2.50 grams, making it noticeably lighter than earlier copper cents, which weighed 3.11 grams. The obverse front of the 1986 Lincoln cent features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This portrait has remained largely unchanged since its introduction in 1909 and is one of the most recognized images in American numismatic history. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while the word, "Liberty," is positioned to the left of the portrait. The date 1986 is shown to the right, along with the mint mark if applicable. Brenner's initials, VDB, can still be seen on Lincoln's shoulder, a small yet important detail that links modern cents to their early 20th century origins. The reverse back of the 1986 penny displays the familiar Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial design emphasizes Lincoln's legacy as a unifying figure in American history. With careful observation, the seated statue of Lincoln can be seen inside the memorial, making this coin unique in U.S. coinage because it shows the same historical figure on both sides. Surrounding inscriptions include, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1986 Lincoln cent has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a plain edge, and a round shape. Because the coin is zinc-based, it is more susceptible to environmental damage than earlier copper cents. When the thin copper plating is scratched or worn, the zinc core can corrode, causing bubbling or grayish discoloration. For this reason, collectors prefer well-preserved examples with intact surfaces and original luster. The 1986 1-cent coin was struck at 3 United States Mint facilities. Coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark and were made in very large quantities for circulation. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, also produced hundreds of millions of coins. The San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, produced proof coins only, which were specially struck using polished dies and planchettes. These proof cents were sold directly to collectors as part of annual proof sets and feature mirror-like fields with sharp, frosted design elements. Due to extremely high mintages, most 1986 Lincoln cents are common and generally worth face value in circulated condition. However, uncirculated coins, especially those with strong mint luster and minimal contact marks, can be worth more. Proof 1986 cents are more valuable than circulation strikes, particularly when they remain in original, undamaged condition. Coins that have been professionally graded and certified by PCGS or NGC often command higher prices in the collector market. Collectors also search for mint errors and varieties among 1986 pennies. Common error types include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchettes, weak strikes, and plating errors, such as peeling or blistered copper surfaces. Because zinc cents are more prone to plating problems, error examples are not uncommon, though dramatic errors are still sought after and can be worth significantly more than ordinary examples. From a broader historical perspective, the 1986 1-cent coin reflects a modern, cost-efficient approach to coin production. Unlike earlier copper cents that contain substantial intrinsic metal value, the 1986 penny's value lies entirely in its legal tender status. This shift illustrates how modern economies prioritize functionality and efficiency over precious metal content in everyday coinage. For collectors, the 1986 Lincoln cent serves as an excellent educational coin. Beginners can learn about mint marks, grading, and composition changes, while advanced collectors may pursue high-grade registry examples, pristine proofs, or notable mint errors. Proper storage is essential. Zinc-based cents should always be kept in non-PVC, acid-free holders to prevent corrosion and long-term damage. Cleaning should be avoided, as it permanently reduces numismatic value. In conclusion, the 1986 United States 1-cent coin may seem ordinary, but it represents an important chapter in the evolution of American coinage. It combines a timeless design honoring Abraham Lincoln with modern minting practices and materials. Whether viewed as a historical artifact, a teaching tool, or a collectible, the 1986 Lincoln Memorial cent remains a meaningful symbol of everyday American history and numismatic tradition. Next video. The 1978 United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the 1978 Lincoln Memorial cent, is an important piece of modern American numismatic history that represents the final years of the traditional copper penny era. This coin was minted during a period of economic adjustment in the United States, marked by inflation, rising metal prices, and changes in public attitudes toward small denomination currency. By 1978, the Lincoln cent had already been in continuous production for nearly 70 years, making it the longest-running portrait design in U.S. coinage. Although extremely common in circulation, the 1978 penny carries historical, educational, and collectible significance. The late 1970s were a challenging time for the American economy. Inflation was high, and the cost of raw materials, especially copper, continued to rise. Despite these pressures, the 1978 Lincoln cent was still struck using the traditional 95% copper alloy with the remaining 5% consisting of zinc and tin. This makes the 1978 penny part of the last group of heavy copper cents produced before the major composition change in 1982. The coin reflects a time when even the smallest unit of U.S. currency was still made primarily from a valuable natural metal. The obverse front of the 1978 1-cent coin features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This portrait, first introduced in 1909, symbolizes leadership, unity, and moral strength. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while "Liberty" is inscribed to the left of the portrait. The date 1978 appears to the right, along with the mint mark when applicable. Brenner's initials VDB can be seen on Lincoln's shoulder, serving as a lasting signature of the artist's work. The reversed back of the 1978 penny displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959. The memorial honors Abraham Lincoln's enduring legacy and has become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Inside the central opening of the memorial, a small seated statue of Lincoln can be seen with magnification. The inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and "1 cent," surround the design, reinforcing national identity and the coin's denomination. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1978 Lincoln cent weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and features a plain edge. Its copper-rich composition gives it a reddish tone when new, which naturally darkens over time due to oxidation. Collectors often classify copper cents by color: red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN, with bright red examples being the most desirable and valuable. The 1978 1-cent coin was produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark and were produced in very large numbers for circulation. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, also produced hundreds of millions of coins. The San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, produced proof coins only, which were sold directly to collectors as part of annual proof sets. Proof coins feature mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, making them highly attractive to numismatists. Because of the extremely high mintages, most 1978 Lincoln cents are common and typically worth 1 cent in circulated condition. However, uncirculated examples, particularly those with full original red color, can be worth more. Proof 1978 cents are also more valuable, especially when preserved in original condition without scratches or spotting. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC often command higher market prices. Collectors also search for mint errors and varieties among 1978 pennies. These include off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, clipped planchettes, and die cracks or cut errors. While no major double die variety is widely recognized for 1978, dramatic and well-preserved errors can still be highly collectible and valuable. Error coins add excitement and uniqueness to an otherwise very common date. From a broader historical viewpoint, the 1978 1-cent coin stands at the edge of a major transformation in U.S. coinage. Only a few years later, the U.S. Mint would abandon solid copper cents in favor of copper-plated zinc due to rising production costs. As such, the 1978 penny is part of the final generation of traditional copper pennies that many collectors value for their metal content, weight, and classic appearance. For collectors at all levels, the 1978 Lincoln cent offers both accessibility and educational value. Beginners can easily obtain examples to study mint marks, grading, and copper oxidation, while advanced collectors may pursue high-grade red specimens, pristine proof coins, or rare mint errors. Proper storage in acid-free, non-PVC holders is essential to preserve copper surfaces and prevent corrosion. Cleaning should always be avoided, as it permanently reduces numismatic value. In conclusion, the 1978 United States 1-cent coin may appear ordinary in everyday use, but it holds lasting importance in the history of American coinage. It represents the final years of the traditional copper penny, the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the economic realities of the late 1970s. Whether kept as a simple historical keepsake or studied as part of a serious coin collection, the 1978 Lincoln Memorial Cent remains a meaningful and fascinating piece of United States numismatic heritage. Next video. The 1987 United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the 1987 Lincoln Memorial Cent, is a typical yet historically meaningful example of late 20th century American coinage. By 1987, the Lincoln cent had been in continuous production for 78 years, making it the longest-running portrait design in the history of United States currency. Although the 1987 penny is extremely common in everyday circulation, it represents an era when the U.S. Mint had fully transitioned to modern cost-saving materials and minting technology while preserving the classic appearance of the nation's smallest denomination. During the 1980s, the U.S. government faced rising production costs for coins, especially due to fluctuations in copper prices. As a result, by 1982 the U.S. Mint permanently changed the cent's composition from solid copper to a copper-plated zinc core. The 1987 1-cent coin follows this standard, consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of 2.5% copper. This allowed the penny to look like earlier copper cents while significantly reducing production expenses. The lighter weight of 2.50 grams distinguishes the 1987 cent from pre-1982 copper pennies, which weighed 3.11 grams. The obverse front of the 1987 Lincoln cent features the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait, first introduced in 1909, symbolizes honesty, unity, and leadership. The national motto, "In God We Trust," appears above Lincoln's head, while the word, "Liberty," is inscribed to the left. The date 1987 is shown on the right side, along with the mint mark if present. Brenner's initials VDB, placed on Lincoln's shoulder, connect this modern coin to its early 20th century artistic roots. The reversed back of the 1987 penny displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo and used from 1959 until 2008. This reverse honors Lincoln's enduring legacy as a unifying figure in American history. A unique detail of this design is the tiny seated statue of Lincoln visible inside the memorial, meaning Lincoln appears on both sides of the coin. The inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and 1 cent, surround the memorial, reinforcing national identity and the coin's denomination. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1987 Lincoln cent has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a plain edge, and a round shape. Due to its zinc core, the coin is more sensitive to damage than earlier copper cents. When the thin copper plating is scratched or worn, the zinc can corrode, leading to bubbling, pitting, or discoloration. For this reason, collectors place special importance on surface condition and original luster when evaluating 1987 pennies. The 1987 1-cent coin was produced at 3 U.S. Mint facilities. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark and were produced in massive quantities for everyday circulation. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, also struck hundreds of millions of coins. The San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, produced proof coins only, which were sold to collectors as part of annual proof sets. These proof cents are distinguished by mirror-like fields and sharp, frosted design details. Because of extremely high mintages, most 1987 Lincoln cents are common and typically worth face value in circulated condition. However, uncirculated examples with strong luster can be worth more, especially in high mint state grades. Proof 1987 cents are more desirable and valuable than circulation strikes, particularly when preserved without scratches, spots, or toning. Coins graded and certified by professional services such as PCGS or NGC often achieve higher market prices. Collectors also look for mint errors and varieties. Among 1987 pennies, these include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, and plating errors such as peeling or blistering of the copper coating. Zinc-based cents are especially prone to plating issues, making error examples more common than in earlier copper pennies. Significant errors in excellent condition can be quite collectible. From a historical perspective, the 1987 1-cent coin reflects a fully modern phase of U.S. coin production. Unlike older pennies that contained valuable copper, the 1987 cents value is purely symbolic and functional. This illustrates the broader shift in modern economies toward low-cost, durable materials for everyday currency, while still maintaining traditional designs that connect the present to the past. For collectors, the 1987 Lincoln cent serves as an excellent educational and starter coin. Beginners can study mint marks, grading, and plating issues, while advanced collectors may focus on assembling high-grade sets, pristine-proof coins, or notable error pieces. Proper storage is essential. Zinc-based cents should be kept in non-PVC, acid-free holders to prevent corrosion. Cleaning should always be avoided, as it permanently reduces numismatic value. In conclusion, the 1987 United States 1-cent coin may appear ordinary, but it carries meaningful historical and educational value. It represents the realities of modern coin production, the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the everyday currency used by millions of Americans. Whether kept as a simple keepsake or studied as part of a serious collection, the 1987 Lincoln Memorial Cent remains an important piece of United States numismatic history. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. A new coin story awaits you every next day.